Okay. Um, Obviously, we've got a great challenge tomorrow. I've said now for several days, they have a lot of answers. I certainly mean that in a very positive way in terms of what they've built. They've got size, they've got depth, they've got speed, they've got point guard play, they've got drivers, they've got shooters. I think they defend well. They play exceptionally hard. I've been really impressed with Oladipo defensively. He's as good an individual defender as we've played against all season, and just really appreciate his progress and how much he's improved in a lot of different areas from where he started when I recall watching him until now. Has been really impressive. You can tell the young man's worked really hard and plays with a lot of toughness and plays the game the right way. They seem to feed off of that. And also just an appreciation for, what they've built. I remember, obviously not too long ago where they started and, how they've built it. So, we've got a great challenge. They're as good when you look at them defensively and offensively, and then you look at their personnel and you watch them on film. They're as good a team as we've played all season. They certainly have been very impressive on film. At the same time, I think our guys are obviously looking forward to the challenge. We had a really good practice yesterday. Didn't go super long. It's February, so we're starting to scale back a little bit. But the guys did a great job yesterday, have continued to bring it every day in practice. We're certainly thankful for that. I've talked about all year how coachable our group is, and guys came in, watched film on the off day, and some guys were coming into the gym and getting shots up, and so they care at a high level, and that's from that standpoint, they've been enjoyable to coach. Questions?
I'm sure that you, having not been at practice, but I'm sure you followed through on your stressing of defense and so forth. What have you seen in that regard?
I didn't like the how we graded out, Mark, between Michigan State and Wisconsin, and then I didn't like the carryover that we got defensively in the Wisconsin game from making that such an emphasis over a 2-day period, to be honest. We've got to be better. Guys have got to be more detailed in what they do. We've been teaching the same thing since October. The guys would tell you that. Even the captains would tell you we've got to have more carryover. They're aware of that. And if we want to play better defensively, we'll do those things. And we got to do those things at a higher level than what we're doing them right now.
And are they correctable?
Well, they're definitely correctable. I'm not asking them. One of the things as a coach is you want to put your guys in position to be successful, and you want to ask them to do things that they can do. And there's no question that we can do the things more consistently than we're doing right now. Each individual's a little bit different in terms of, maybe what their area of improvement might be. Joe Bertrand might be positioning. Tracy Abrams might be something completely different. So those guys know that. We've been hitting them with that fairly consistently. We need to see more carryover on the defensive end. I think we've had some carryover for sure on the offensive end. I think we continue to trust the offense more. I thought the quality of shots that we got on Sunday were outstanding. I thought we were really good offensively in the second half of the last 2 games against 2 really good teams, 2 really good defensive teams. So, we've got to continue to build there. I like the direction we're going there, but defensively we've got to be better.
A lot of interest in Brandon Paul, and what have you seen out of him in the past couple of days, and has he responded the way that you expected?
He's been good. His attitude's been good, and he practiced hard yesterday. I thought he was really vocal yesterday, as I thought Richardson was as well. Brandon knows what he has to do. He's supposed to do it. It's not, everybody, mind games, trying to ain't about mind games. Do what we're supposed to do defensively. The guys that do are going to get the first crack. Ain't playing mind games. Okay, Brandon's 20-some years old. He's been through a lot. I ain't no mind game. This is going to try to motivate. No. Guard. Okay, so and I think obviously he did that a little bit better on Sunday. He did. He did a little bit better. He still can give more, as some of the other guys can as well. But I love Brandon. I'm not into the mind game deal. We want production. We want results on the defensive end. We want to control what we're able to control, which is a lot of it's positioning and being where you're supposed to be and doing what you're supposed to do on a consistent basis. And we want to hold everybody, as Nana said after the game, accountable. I think the guys understand that, and we're going to continue to do that on the defensive end.
You mentioned Nana. As he's gotten more confident in his game, have you seen him become more of a leader and more vocal?
Without question. Yeah, he's become more and more confident. I think he understands Marcus more and more, what we want out of him. I think he's been, really good, no question about it. And he's been more vocal. I think guys respect him certainly for, what he brings to the table and who he is as a worker, and every day he brings it and cares at such a high level. And is willing to go above and beyond and do extra all the time and do stuff on top of what, might be the norm. So, there's no question. I think that confidence has allowed him to be more vocal and to lead more.
You talked about your defense and how you don't deviate a lot from. Do you think of changing anything with what you're
Sure,
doing?
you think of it, Jeremy. Absolutely, you think of it. I wouldn't rule that out. But at some point, you can't mask some of the things that we need to get better at. Whether we press, whether we play zone, whether we play man, you still got to guard the ball. You still got to keep the ball in front. You still got to you got to do that better. I don't care what defense you're playing. And those are some of those simple fundamental things, regardless of what defense you're playing. We've got to do better.
Obviously, you've played some pretty good teams at home, but it's been 4 in a row. How disappointing is it not to be able to take care of them?
Well, it's obviously disappointing. You want to win. Everybody knows that. I mean, you want to win at home. We're not trying to lose at home. I mean, you want to win at home, obviously. You want to win, period. That's what we put the game plan together for. That's what we think if we can do certain things and within a game plan, that gives us the best chance to do that. But I also think if you get too caught up in that, you lose sight maybe of maybe areas you're getting better at or areas that, you need to address. For us, for example, we've lost some, but I think our offense is significantly better. Obviously we're playing against really good teams. It's hard to shoot 54% against Wisconsin in a half. They're top 5 in the country on defense. It's hard to, go up 10 at halftime heading into the locker room at East Lansing. It's difficult to shoot the percentage that we shot up there and have 75 points and 74 possessions against a really good Michigan State team. So, you can't lose sight of those things that affect the result. You can't get caught up in the results all the time. You got to get caught up in the process, and that's what we've encouraged the guys to do.
Joseph Bertrand had one of his best offensive performances. What was he doing well, and what can he do to continue that?
Well, offensively, I thought he was really good. He attacked. He attacked the way that they were playing the ball screen well. I thought he was really active on the offensive and defensive glass, and I thought he was really good in those two areas.
Coach, you talked about Indiana's return. Is there something that can be learned for how they did it and just, I guess, maybe stay in the course? Or what?
Yeah, I think you can learn from, any circumstance if you look close enough. I admire, kind of what they've done over a, whatever it is, 5-6 year window. I said the same thing when we played Michigan. I really admire Coach Beeline and what he, where that thing was and where it started and how good a job he's done of building that program as well. And then there's other examples too. Guys have done a really good job. I think there's two parts to it. I think one, obviously, John, it's adding, having talent, and I think the other part of it is having a culture and a buy-in at a high level, not only to how you play, but how you do things both on and off the court. Developing a winner's mentality, a winning culture, both on and off the court. I think we've made strides in that area, but I also think at the same time we still have a long way to go, and we'll keep chipping at it every day.
It was, when you saw Indiana as low as what it was, did you think it was going to take that long to get back?
Great question. I don't know. I mean, some of the things you can and can't control, that'd be a question for, Coach Crean. I mean, he's there living that out every day. I'm not there every day. I can admire certain things from afar and see where it starts, boom, boom, boom. But in terms of the ins and outs of all that, John, I mean, that'd be a question you'd have to ask him.
It's kind of a random question, but you've recruited Indiana for a while. It's been a long time since Illinois' gotten an Indiana kid. Is it just tough because of what Indiana's doing and Ohio State and Purdue there, or what are the challenges there?
Well, I don't know necessarily if there's challenges. Obviously, we've been here 8 months. I think each kid's different, Jeremy, in terms of what they're looking for and, where they think the best fit might be for them. And, we'll continue to recruit, hard, especially our, breadbasket area, our state and adjacent states, and try to find the right fit for Illinois, and what we're doing and how we play and what we're going to be about. Obviously with the recruiting class that we just signed, I think guys would see like it's kind of from a little bit of everywhere. I think more important to me is the fit. Obviously we're going to continue to recruit guys that fit that, and Illinois and the surrounding states, Indiana being one of them, are important.
So, I guess you grew up in Indiana. Were you a Hoosier?
Well, I grew up and when I watched Big Ten basketball when I was younger, I rooted for Indiana. It was. I remember getting up, going to church on Sundays. My grandmother would fix fried chicken, and I told Don Fisher this today. And then 12 noon, the Bob Knight show with Chuck Marlowe would come on, and I used to watch obviously just as many because I watched Big Ten basketball, Illinois games, Purdue games. I was kind of in a pocket there in Danville that's not too far from here, not too far from Purdue, not too far from Indiana. So I really probably watched those three teams as much or more than any teams that I watched, because of proximity and how much they were on television, and I've always enjoyed and watching Big Ten basketball. So certainly, I watched Indiana growing up. My grandmother was a fan, and we kind of followed who my grandmother followed. She rooted for the Chicago Bears, which is DB knows that's why I'm a huge Bears fan, because of my grandmother. The Reds, Indiana. She liked watching Notre Dame football. So I kind of did what my grandmother did. I didn't know any better. She had a transistor radio. I'd sit right beside her chair, keep stats on numerous things. Reds baseball games. You're bringing back memories here, John. My favorite pitcher was Mario Soto. Probably no one even recognizes that name except for Lauren, probably. But yeah, we kind of, all of us kids in our family kind of followed my grandmother's lead. We always watched Big Ten basketball. She always loved Big Ten basketball, and that's kind of where it started.
With a group of games like you've had, being so tightly packed in with all those ranked opponents, is it better for a coach to have that situation? I know you can't change the schedule. It is what it is. But is it better? That way you can show your kids, look, this is ranked, this is ranked, this is ranked, this is ranked, and this is what we have to do in order to play.
Yeah, I think you're going to learn a lot, obviously. Playing against the level of teams and coaching and personnel that we've played against. I mean, you learn a lot, about yourself and, what you're doing well and what you need to get better at. And, I think from that standpoint, long term, it's beneficial.
That's for you as a coach. Now, as a player who has to, buck up every game for 5 games straight, and the challenges are always different.
Sure.
Is it hard for them to make those adjustments?
No, I just try to remind them, honestly. I think that's why they chose Illinois. I mean, we're in the best conference in college basketball. Every night is a grind. It's bone on bone. You choose this deal, you got to know what you're choosing now. Okay, this is a you got to be tough, you got to be together, you got to execute, you got to be sharp, you got to be ready to play every single night you play, which is kind of what you're alluding to, and that's the beauty of Big Ten basketball.
Talk about the players that we haven't seen at Illinois, the new guys on the Indiana roster.
I'm sorry, Rob. Repeat that.
The new guys on the Indiana roster that Illinois fans have not seen.
They're basically like Yogi Ferrell. Yeah, Yogi's an electric point guard. He's explosive. I certainly think he'll be in discussion for all freshman team. Freshman of the year type of discussion. He was a scorer in high school, a terrific scorer. Led his team to a state championship. Obviously has a lot of weapons at his disposal in transition. He's very fast. He's very explosive. He's dangerous in transition. He's dangerous when he gets the ball into the paint. He's started to shoot the ball better lately, as a lot of freshmen do as the season moves on. I think he's getting more comfortable. He's really good defensively. He's a really good player. Who else? I'm trying to think. Rob, I'd have to go through it here. Obviously, Zeller, Oladipo, Watford, Hulls, Sheehy, guys are familiar. Jeremy Hollowell's a freshman who's really talented. Reminds me a little bit of I remember Christian Watford when he was younger. I think Hollowell's going to be a really good player. He's really talented, starting to figure some things out. But other than that, everybody else is the same, really, other than those two guys. Everyone else kind of returns and has been there in the past.
Is there anybody that's taken a jump from last year that you've seen?
Oh, Oladipo. Really, Zeller, too. Hulls has gotten better. But I'd say the guy that really stands out, and a lot of them have gotten better, is Oladipo. As I said at the outset, I mean, he just continues to get better, and really improve at a rapid rate.
Improved guy in the league, isn't he?
I obviously haven't played everybody yet, but he's certainly, yeah, you could debate that with me, and I wouldn't say that you're wrong. I mean, he's shooting 60% from three in league games. He plays offense. He plays defense. He plays with motor. He always plays hard. He's an elite level defender. He's on the glass. I mean, he's pretty well rounded, John. He's a good player.
Anything from the phone lines for Coach?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I missed this, but are you leaning toward the same lineup?
I didn't share that, and at this point, that's not yet determined, Shannon. But I can assure you it will continue to be based on guys' defensive performance from the last game and the practices leading up to tomorrow night's game.
Thanks.
Anything else on the phone? If not, any final questions in the room?
Can you follow up on Shannon's question with just PT? Mike Henry has had more recently. Brandon has had less. Is it only based on practice, or are you seeing the future getting other guys more experience?
No, it's based on the games and practice. Like I just mentioned there to Shannon, Rob. I mean, it's really based on those games and how productive they've been, and in particular, our spotlight right now obviously is on the defensive end.
Or do they need to be more resilient in fighting, improving this defense?
Obviously, you always want your team to be tough, and you want them to be tougher. I do think, John, that we need to be more committed on the defensive end for sure. You look at the first 16 games, we were giving up, I think our points per possession we were giving up was like 0.82, right around there. In the last 7 games, we've given up 0.97, which is almost a point per possession. It's very difficult to win when you do that. It's very difficult to be as competitive as you want to be. Where our offensive numbers, although the last 2 games have certainly gotten a lot better, and we're starting to get it on that end of the floor, I think a little bit better. They may not be as high during the last 7 games as they were the first 16 games, but that margin is smaller. It's, a few points. The defense is astronomical, the difference in the efficiency. And in this league, if you don't defend, in particular in the half court, I think it's really difficult to be competitive.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I did not.